All right, welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm Darlynn, and today you are going to love this because it's a little bit like I'm being interviewed by my friend and colleague and fellow coach, Jennifer Della Quadri. Last week, we did an episode with her where I sort of interviewed her and talked to her about what it's like to be a teenager today. And in this episode, we're talking about what it's like to parent a teenager today. And I give sort of the struggles of parenting teens, what comes up as a parent, and then I give you really, really practical strategies for how to cope and succeed in using these teen parenting years as a way to get closer to your teen instead of getting pushed apart. So you're going to love this, and let's get into it.
All right. Welcome back to another episode. We get to have Jennifer Della Quadri and Darlynn Childress, that's me, together again to talk about parenting teens.
Yes, I'm excited about today's podcast. If you listened to last week's episode, then you may be really excited to hear this one because we were talking a lot about the teens, but I know, Darlynn, you talked about the parents and you kind of threw in a few nuggets. And I was like, I can't wait to hear what she has to say because I know I have a lot to learn too. So it's good to be back. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So if you missed last time, go back and listen. We talked about what it's like to be a teenager a little bit and what they're struggling with. And that's what Jennifer does, is she's a teen coach and incredible at it. And any teenager who gets to have her on the other side of that phone call or Zoom is lucky.
Yes.
So yeah, highly recommend that episode.
Head back there.
Go back.
Yeah. Let's this time we are going to have Darlynn share a little bit about herself and what she does with the parents. Mm-hmm. So why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do and who you work with and all that.
Yeah. Well, I work with parents, and my program is called Calm Mama Coaching. And it's really what I learned as a parent. I started working as a parent coach. We did not use that language back in the 2012s. I was a parent educator for a really long time, and I just kind of taught parenting skills. So I would teach how to set limits, how to, follow through on consequences without yelling. And I added then like nonviolent parenting to my program and talked a lot about emotional coaching your kids and setting limits and then having, consequences that are not punishment. I have a whole theory about consequences. Mm-hmm. I think about them as impacts of behavior. Every behavior has an impact always.
Yes.
And so sometimes as a parent, we have to create false impact because it takes a long time to have an impact sometimes from a behavior. For example, if I'm kind of shitty to my brother for 10 years, it might take a long time before my brother doesn't ever talk to me again. So, we want to create kind of impacts, short-term impacts to pivot behavior.
Okay.
But I was teaching about connection, right?
Yeah.
What I think about in emotional coaching is connection and empathy and compassion and parenting, teaching about limits, teaching about consequences in a punitive-free model. And I noticed that parents were always like, I love everything you teach me. It's amazing. I just can't remember to do it.
Oh.
And I thought a lot about why. What is the block? What is the obstacle that is preventing them from showing up as the parent that they want to be? Mm-hmm. And it really is a lot about our own, as parents, our own emotional regulation.
Yes.
And our inability, right, to process our own emotion and to manage our own stress responses.
Yes.
So my program, I have the Calm Mama process, and it includes calm first. And that is always about the parent's emotional regulation.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh, that is so important. That's everything. Because with the teaching a parent how to discipline or to handle when your child is misbehaving is one thing. But in that moment, you can be super worked up or angry or even frustrated from something that's totally unrelated, and everything just goes out of the, brain, and you forget it all. And then you look back and you think, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
That's not
And
what
I always say
do.
the minute that you look back or whatever, that's your brain coming back online. That's you getting out of your stress response and back into your online thinking, into your prefrontal cortex. And so what we are doing in my programs is helping parents sort of not bypass that negative emotion, but process it quickly.
Yeah.
And also work on the mindset piece so that we don't get triggered in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, so important.
Yeah, so important, right? And a lot of that is around kind of what you were talking about last time about, understanding what is normal, what's typical, where it's coming from, why your teen or your child is behaving this way, sort of normalizing a lot of expectations or seeing behavior for what it is helps parents then not be so activated.
Mm-hmm.
That's why like the episode before is so important if you're raising a teen, because now your teenager acts out and you're like, oh, this is not because there's something wrong with them. This is not because there's something wrong with me. This is not because they're a complete and total asshole. This is not because they're, whatever.
Right.
Whatever thoughts we have.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because so many of the parents that come to me, their main question is this normal? Is this normal? Right. Mm-hmm. And that's the fear that a lot of us have as parents, is like, is this something that all teens deal with? Or is like, there's something I need to do because my teen is really struggling with this.
Yeah, it happens when I have moms who come in and I have a 6-year-old and their 6-year-old's having a big feeling cycle. There's somewhat normalizing of emotion up until about 3 in our society. We call it a temper tantrum, and it's somewhat okay.
Yeah.
You're terrible twos. We have a whole language about it. And then parents get to 3 and they're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. You need to be a big kid now.
Yes. Something's wrong with my kid because they still have feelings.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought the feelings would just go away and they could suddenly be calm through these situations.
And like just manage it, like manage the fact that it's a blue cup versus a pink cup or whatever.
Right.
And like the other one is in the dishwasher and you're like, and this just keeps compounding as we raise our kids and you get to teenagers and it's, if you're coming to the work later, it can be tricky because you're like, whoa, you got to really reframe a lot of thinking as a parent of what to expect and what's okay and what's not okay and how to set boundaries. And
well, what's so good about that too is you are connecting with them as this challenge is happening, because sometimes the parents who come to me, their kid has never had any issues. Like they've been very easy and they enter their teen years and then a challenge starts happening and they're like, oh my gosh, wait, what do I do? And so you're able to meet them as the challenge occurs so that they can kind of stave off the long-term effects of what would happen if they didn't know how to respond.
Right. Well, if you have more than one kid, you're like, that's my easy one and this is my hard one or whatever. And then eventually that's going to swap.
Absolutely. Or on a week-to-week basis, right? You're like, this week is great with this one. I don't know what is happening with this one. Yeah. And then they just switch places.
Yes, right. Or I see it with like, the one is like, oh, so good and so easy. Yeah. And then they turn 7 and whatever, and they have their first conflict in their social world, or, you have another baby or whatever happens. And big feelings come. So we normalize the big feeling cycle, is what I call it. And normalizing the big feelings so that we don't get so activated, because that's part of calm, is how to prevent that activation and then how to intervene when you're in it and how to calm yourself when you're already activated.
Oh my gosh, so important.
Use physiological body regulation, so I teach parents how to like clap their hands, jump up and down, drink some water, like go outside, look up. Like it's so many silly things, but it's just trying to get that stress juice. You had said about fear. Is this normal? Well, if you think about when we are taught about stress response, it is typically taught because we are afraid, right? Something happens and then we are afraid. So then we do fight, flight, freeze, faint, fawn. Now there's so many apps.
Yep.
And I keep adding them. And so, yes, if I am thinking consistently that something's wrong with my child. Like, this
Yes.
isn't normal. This isn't okay. There's a problem. I'm going to have a lot of cortisol. I'm going to have a lot of adrenaline pumping through kind of all the time. So then I'm
Mhm.
going to react to a misbehavior or any behavior from that stress response, from that fear-based fight, flight, freeze, faint, fawn.
Yeah.
And what I notice is that when a parent is activated, they want to control their child in the moment
Mm.
so that so the parent can feel more powerful, right? Like the antidote to fear, right, is safety. So they're
Mhm.
trying to like get that back by kind of squashing the kid and in some
Yes.
ways activating their child's flight or freeze
Oh,
response.
interesting.
Hmm.
Right. And it's a consequence, an unintended consequence.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they don't even realize that they're doing it.
Right. So you're creating more activation and more cortisol in your child, and then they're
Mhm.
responding. And a lot of kids don't go to flight or freeze. They go to fight.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so you then have to get bigger and stronger and louder and
Yep.
or more controlling or more threatening or more, punitive in order to like
Right.
get them squashed. And that's where we're moving away from that. We're moving away from that fear from myself and also
Yeah.
controlling my children through fear.
Oh, that's so important. And
Mhm.
it all starts with the adult, the person who is quote unquote responsible for the harmony in the home.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
so good. And I am really excited to hear about the process. But before we get to all of that, I'm just curious, what are the things that you're seeing with parents, like the bigger struggles that you're
Mhm.
seeing on a regular basis with them?
Well, I think the fear is a big one with teens. I mean, that's kind of like I think the main one is like fear about the future. So
Mm,
when you are raising teens, everything feels like the stakes are higher.
yeah.
And in some way, they actually are on some level. Like if I am 7 and I stick my tongue out at the teacher, I might get like Miss Recess, and
Mhm.
that's a failure or whatever, bummer. But if I'm 17 and I do a 17-year-old version of sticking my tongue out of the teacher, which is school avoidance, which we talked about, right? And I don't go
Yeah.
to school or I don't
Yeah.
participate and I get an F and then I get a couple of Fs, then our brain starts to really spin out of like,
Right.
this is definitely going all the way
Yeah.
to, I always go to like drug addict, under a
Mhm.
bridge, homeless.
Yeah.
That's like my worst. My second worst case scenario, which is not necessarily kind, but it's like a manager at a fast food restaurant.
Mhm.
Like I believe my children have higher potential than that, or that they have drive for that. I don't want to insult that role. But I look at my kids and I'm like, I know what you're capable of or what you
Yeah.
want for yourself. And I get scared, right?
That's what it goes to, is that they have, this is another thing that happens with the teens and that scares the parents, is they see their kids when they're young and they see the drive and the love for life. And then they see the potential and I want to be an astronaut and all of those things. And then it all kinds of shuts down. And the parent is like, what happened to my kid? Oh no. And then they picture worst case scenario, right? Like futurizing in the absolute negative, and they get really afraid. And so do you see that they like start to push at that point when they are afraid? What do you see happens when they
I think that's where we start to feel a little bit more like we need to get our control back and our power back.
Yeah.
And so, we might like kind of come in hard and maybe, take away all the things and do
Right.
big consequences, which isn't necessarily bad, but it doesn't serve your child in any way to be afraid for them. They are already pretty nervous. Like we talked about that last time. Like they're feeling insecure, especially those later teen years. They have that uncertainty and that insecurity about their own potential and are they going to reach it and who are they and where do they want to go? And they're kind of spinning. And if we come into the moment and we're like, oh shit, yep, things are not looking good for you.
Yeah. Then they're like, oh my gosh, now things are really bad.
This person knows me really well, has known me since I was little, and they're worried. I better be worried. It's like, if you're on an airplane and the pilot's like, everything's fine, a little turbulence, no problem. You're like, okay. You know, flight attendants are like, this isn't an issue. And you can feel safe. But if they're like, that would be very upsetting.
You always look to the people that you trust in a situation to know how to respond. And when they look at you as a parent and you're freaking out, they're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Shit's hitting the fan. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give some strategies at the end of like what to do to kind of move through these things. But that's one of the main ones I feel about that. It's the fear of the future. And then the other one is really, so there's like the future, like you're going to mess up your life. That comes up for parents. But then there's also this, like, I don't trust my kid. So, when you have a teenager and they're making some bad decisions, or they're making any decision, like if we don't believe that they are capable of taking care of themselves, it is going to be really hard for them to think they're capable of taking care of themselves. They borrow their beliefs and thoughts about themselves from us.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
They do.
Yes, they do.
So,
I love that you say that, because when a teenager feels like their parents don't trust them, then they learn that they can't be trusted. And then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I'm the person who my parents think I'm just going to fuck up. So I guess I might as well, that's where I'm headed. And teenagers make mistakes. They do things that are stupid. Like, that's just part of growing up.
I'm not a teenager.
Everybody makes mistakes. And that's part of the life, right? Yeah. And seeing your teenager make mistakes and not making it that they are a mistake, like that they are somebody who fails or a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Hey, this is normal.
Yeah. So I see it kind of come out like when we don't trust our kids, then we feel powerless, right? So then we start to make decisions for them, or, tell them how to do it, what they need to do. This is how it's going to lay it out. And there is a place for that, especially when our kids are really kind of derailing or, really off track. We want to bring them back. We don't want them to make unaffordable mistakes. And so we do need limits and boundaries. I'm going to talk about that. But what happens is your child then, if you believe they're not like good or capable or whatever, then they can go one of two ways. They either believe you, right? And then that's what you were talking about, is that they say, okay, I must be not very good and not reliable and not trustworthy. And they kind of give up and, flail around a little bit. They don't have that self-confidence, or they have to decide you're wrong because they need to believe in themselves. And then you are losing your credibility.
Yeah.
Like you're eroding the quality of the relationship.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you don't know me very well. You don't believe in me. You don't trust me. I'll show you, and I won't trust you anymore with me.
Right.
That's where the break happens that I see.
And that's a big hit on your relationship with them.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge hit on your relationship. And so we can think any thought we want about our kid.
Yeah.
Why would we choose terrible ones?
I know. I know. But it's not always easy, right? Like in a very small, short, like not a very big impactful example is when they leave their dishes all over the place in the kitchen. You walk in and be like, gosh, they're such a freaking slob, or they're so lazy. Why don't they clean up after themselves? It's hard in those moments when you're seeing this evidence that points in the opposite direction.
Right.
And to like intentionally decide how you want to think about your kid is hard, but it makes a huge impact.
Yeah. Yes. It makes a huge impact. And it's like intentionally thinking they are capable of learning this.
Yes. It's very simple as that. Like This is one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that they can do this. I know
they are becoming a person who.
Yes, they are becoming a person who cleans up after themselves.
Yes, they're becoming a person who is responsible. They're becoming a person
Yes.
who manages their time. They're becoming a person who understands how to use social media appropriately. They're becoming a person who can keep track of a to-do list. They're becoming a person who knows how to be a good friend. Yes.
And that's a huge shift between the two.
It's so, because then we're trusting them at their core and like believing in them. So the fear about the future, the not trusting in them, and then the big one, we talked about this a little bit last time, but like one of the things I teach parents is how to be comfortable in our children's discomfort. And we brought it up when we talked about like sometimes our kids just need to process their negative emotion and just talk or share or be upset or be in their room crying or throw around some stuff or, you know, maybe even complain about your rules or whatever. We want to make sure that stays within a boundary. But what happens to us a lot of times is we feel very uncomfortable. It can feel scary when someone has big feelings. It can create a trauma response from us if we ever had grown-ups around us when we were little who didn't manage their feelings well. And you have a big teenager and you've got a loud person and you've got someone who kind of reminds you of your mother or someone who kind of reminds you of your father or, you know, a boyfriend or a girlfriend from when you were younger. Like there can be some feelings that maybe get triggered in you, like based on past experiences that can activate your stress response and make it hard for you to be okay with their big feelings.
Yeah.
It can also be hard for us to be with their big feelings because we make it mean something about us. As a parent. If I were a better parent, my child would not be unhappy.
Right. If I were a better parent, my child would have better grades. My child would have this job. My child would be going to this college. And it's not like making it about you. And I'm so glad. And it just kind of goes back to what I tell the parents over and over and over who bring their kids to me for help. It's like, you get help for yourself too.
Yeah. Right.
Because you need to deal with your shit.
Yep.
Before you help your teen deal with theirs.
Yes.
If you're able to do it.
Yes. And that's, you know, that growing your own capacity to listen and to be okay with someone else's big feelings. It does mean that we have to work on ourselves for sure. And that's the other thing that I'm going to talk about. But we've talked about this for a split second on the last episode of like, when someone is uncomfortable and they're processing negative emotion, we have these tendencies that we either want to give a solution. We want to shut it down. Or just get them back down into flight or faint or whatever, like just enough. Or we want to shame them, make them wrong. For having these feelings or creating this problem or whatever. All three, that the solution, the shutdown, and the shaming, those are all our strategy to cope with our discomfort. And so it's really important to catch yourself. And if you find that you no longer have the capacity, you can just turn to your teenager and say, I love you. I see you're struggling and I'm not open to listening right now. I need a minute.
Yes, because when you face them with the energy that they're facing you with, it's just going to add fuel to the fire.
Yes. And we often don't say these very, very simple sentences in our relationships of, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now and I need a break.
Right. And I love your wording on that. It's I'm feeling overwhelmed, not you're making me feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, you're too much.
Right. You're making me feel bad. Right. It's very much I am dealing with this right now and I need space.
Yeah. And just really it feels like an abandonment or a rejection to the other person. It just does. We feel that way when our teenager fine. And they run to their room or they slam the door or they're like, you know, you're a bitch or whatever. And you're just like, you know, it feels like an absolute personal rejection, right?
Sure.
Even if they're not mean about it, it just feels like they are rejecting us. It's the same thing that our teen feels when we need a break. So that's why it's really important to do a little bit of like, listen, I hear you. I love you.
Yeah.
And I am here for you, just not right now. I need a break.
Yeah. Yes. And also having a conversation in advance when things are calm or after things calm down is, and I'm sure you're going to be talking about this, is boundary setting, like what you are and are not okay with when there's not big emotions happening.
Yes, for sure. We have to like wait till the energy is passed before we like start to get in on all our rules or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
And also saying, hey, sometimes I'm going to take a little break.
Yep.
I love like these simple phrases. Our relationship is too important for me.
Oh my gosh, so
to
good.
hurt you. I love you too much to yell at you.
I don't want to say something that I regret. I need a moment.
Yeah. Like and it models boundaries really beautifully as well.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then the other things I see with parents is they're just very confused about their role. So that's kind of the limit setting that I want to talk about. What are we responsible for? Are we responsible for making sure our kids get a certain grade or are home at a certain time? Or like, are we not? Do we make sure they don't drink? Can we make sure they don't drink or do drugs at parties? It just gets very confusing, especially in those later teen years about like where do I stop and they begin? And like, it gets kind of murky. And I think we're not going to solve that in this episode at all.
We would get the Nobel Prize for that. But
yes. But what we do need to know we are responsible for is when we're clear about what is okay with us, and that boundary work is really important. So we're going to get into that. But that confusion about your role. And the one thing before we go into that, I wanted to say is that there's a grieving process when you have teens. It starts around 10, like that first time that they go to their room and process their negative emotion without you or go through something and you don't know about it till later. Like there's a little bit of there's sadness. It's a loss. There's an intimacy when they're little. And like I remember my son being around 6 and we were in like a therapy appointment because my kids have been through all the things. And the therapist was like, I bet, Mom, that you know every boo-boo that is on his body. And I was like, yes. And then I was like, he has a scratch on his knee. He has a little thing on his elbow. He has a cuticle that hurts. I was so intimate. I knew when they peed and pooed and like where they were at every second. And the control, but also the intimacy of it. And then slowly your children grow and they need to build intimacy with themselves, with their peers, with significant others. And that is lost for us. It is not lost for them.
And I'm so glad you're bringing that up too, because it's not something that I remember ever hearing about when I had kids, that this was going to be the grief of it all. Like, of course, you love your kids and you want them to be successful and you want them to be independent. But I had no idea that part of that would involve totally processing the sadness of that little kid relationship and the bond that you had with them. And giving yourself the space to process it too.
Yes, and to feel sad and to let it go. And it's grief. Right? We're going to go through a process of loss and it's not a death. So it's different because we get to build a new thing and have a new relationship, but it is the loss of a relationship and it is creating a new one. Yeah. And that there's like this undercurrent there in parenting teens of just some sadness. And then there's some regret that kind of comes in and some disappointment. And, it's like a reckoning in some ways. It can feel like that. And what I think the hope is that you get to redefine the future at this point. And really, if you can spend more time future focused of like what you're creating and what your child is creating, that's one of the strategies I'll talk about. But I think we need to recognize the emotion and the negative emotion that we have around
And
that
that's where
loss.
getting outside support as a parent is so important, to have that space to be able to talk about it and feel what you're feeling about it.
Yeah. That's why I have a group program now, because I'm finding the more and more that I can bring parents together to talk about the different parts of it. And I'm doing a special series this fall. It's going to be start with a masterclass on parenting teens, and then moving into a separate program where you get to have me coaching you for 6 weeks just for parents of teens.
Oh,
and
amazing.
Really, like, not one-on-one like how I usually do it in my group programs, where it's just a one-on-one conversation, a little bit more of a group conversation where we have a place to talk and be sad or be frustrated or be angry, and then also solutions, like having an expert kind of guide, about curfew and drugs and girls sleeping over, boys sleeping over, and whatever, all the things.
Yes.
So I just think we need to create more spaces like that in our society.
Well, and it's so good too. I know we talked a little bit about normalizing emotions. A lot of parents think that what they're feeling is wrong or bad, and because they haven't heard anybody else going through it before, but it's only because people haven't really talked about it or shared about it.
Yeah. It's like we have Mommy and Me, and we have a lot of postpartum support.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know if anyone is postpartum right now, they're like, no, we don't. You guys don't understand how hard it is.
I remember how hard it is.
Yes. And so we need postpartum support, and those early years, sleep training and diapering and toileting. It's so all important. Really, really hard. Yeah. But there's not a lot of space to talk about the emotional challenges as we raise our kids. And so, I agree. That's what one of the purposes of the club is. Called Mama Club. So let's talk a little bit about strategies, just as we wrap up.
Let me hear your strategies. This is what I
know. Everyone loves strategies. I am a very good strategy coach.
Awesome.
So on my podcast next week, there will be an episode all about what I think of as this tether between freedom and responsibility. So I'm just going to introduce it. So your audience can listen next time, and my audience, you'll get it. You get the goods. Yeah. But I think about when we are raising teens, and I think this starts around 11 or 12, that we want to be testing responsibility by giving some freedom. So, we're going to see if you can walk back and forth to 7-Eleven within these expectations, right? Right. We're going to test this freedom out, and we're going to test responsibility. Yep. So are you able to, keep, if they have a phone, keep Life 360 on? Are you able to or location services? Are you going to be there when I come to pick you up at the exact time? Kind of whatever your boundary is, like a simple little thing like that. Yeah. And you're saying to your teen, I will give you this freedom. And you need to show that you are ready for it. And this is also checking in on your level of responsibility, because they go together. The more responsible you are, the more freedom you can have. And then we tether it back. If you can't show that you're ready for this level of responsibility, then I'm going to pull a little bit of freedom away. We're going to tighten up for a bit of time. So say you give a curfew. Your curfew is at 11. We expect you to be home by 11. And then you have 1-2 nights where they're not making it. Again, okay, you didn't make it again. You didn't make it again. Okay, so we're going to pull some freedom away and reset, let you practice some responsibility around the house. Okay. And we'll try again. Yeah. So the consequence is that you lose a little bit of freedom, but it's never it's never oh, you're such a bad person and you should get this privilege taken away. It's more you're not quite ready for this level of responsibility, but I know you're going to be. So we're going to pull back a bit. And we're going to try again. So
I'm wondering, when you're saying this, I'm curious to know your thoughts on, because this is very much a little bit of a toggle, like a give and take versus a cut off, you can't do this, period. What are your thoughts on grounding?
Well, I think sometimes it looks like you don't have freedom to go out and about.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you haven't shown that you're able to handle the responsibility of being out and about.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
like, you know, like my son, one of them likes to skate to school and he didn't want to take a ride with the brother. And so then we noticed that there was a bunch of late tardies.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you don't get the freedom of
Right.
skating to school. So we're going to hold your skateboard.
Yeah.
And you can get it after school from us. And you don't have that freedom right now.
Well, and that's more like having the consequence match what they did, right? Instead of I'm taking away all of your freedoms, I'm taking your phone, you're locked in your room, like you cannot leave the house, you can't talk to your friends, all of it being taken away for something. And so it's the give and take of it.
Yeah.
And that's way more respectful.
Yes. Yes, because I trust you are going to be able to, the whole purpose, right, is someday you're going to, they have all the freedom and all the responsibility. This is the process of adulthood.
It's a training ground.
Yes, because my intention, right, is that you're going to leave my house and take full responsibility for your life and have full freedom. I don't get to fucking control you anymore.
Right.
When you're a grown up, as much as I want to.
Yeah. And it's my job to prepare you for that so that you don't flail.
So we got to test it out. We got to see where you're at.
Give you a little bit at a time. It's like the slow release, right? Like a little bit of freedom here, right? And a little bit of responsibility there.
Yeah. And it's great when you have the concept in the family of the tether. My kids don't love it, the freedom and responsibility kind of, they get annoyed by it because
they get annoyed no matter what. So
they would rather it not, so then but I love having the language because then I can say, hey, listen, we've been testing this freedom out. You're not showing that you can be responsible. So we're going to pull some back. So we have this like way of talking about where they're at, what they're doing. And
it's a shared language, which is so important.
Yeah. So great. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is just a concept and, that it can be helpful. And then as far as limit setting itself, boundary making, it's like, we have to really think about what is allowed in our house. Or what are we willing to do or pay for or provide?
Yeah.
And what are the conditions of that? So I like to ask these top level, like have kind of my program, the way I structure it is there's a lot of frameworks because that way you don't have to rememorize like everything over time. It's like, these are the questions you ask yourself when your kids are 3, 13, 23 in relationship, right? Like, so we are willing to allow our child to use this vehicle that he has access to, and we're willing to pay for the insurance up to good student discount. Like if he doesn't have a good student discount, he has to pay for that portion.
Yep.
So we're willing to pay for the insurance up to this amount, and we're willing to let you use the car under these conditions. And they are you being home in the garage. The car is back in the garage by this time.
Right.
And you have to, in our family, you have to keep Life 360 on so that we can check because we go 9 nights and it marks you when you're home.
Exactly. That's so good. Yeah.
And so then if there's missing of it, we're like, looks like you don't have the car for next weekend. And it's just really clear, clean line. I'm willing to give you this amount of money for this purpose. And that's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to pay for you to go to Japan this summer on your student trip, as long as you have a, 2.0 or whatever your boundary is, your limit. The thing is, the boundaries are never the problem.
Okay.
They're usually pretty clean once you get clear about what it is that you want and what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
The issue really comes up for parents is when the boundary isn't respected, isn't kept, right? We, as the boundary maker, have to be the boundary keeper.
Yes. You can't expect your teenager to respect your boundaries or to never cross your boundaries.
Yeah. So then we need to follow up on them. And that's where all the mess happens, because then that's where the big feelings come. That's where the frustration and the anger, and we want to make them wrong and bad and terrible so that we feel better about reinforcing the boundary. And so, that's where shame comes in, and it just gets really messy. And then or parents are like, I don't want to deal with it. It doesn't matter.
Or it shouldn't be this way. A lot of judgment.
Yes. And so, holding your boundary and then following through on it is really, it's the work we're all working on in our personal lives as well.
All the
I'm willing to
time.
go to my mother-in-law's for Christmas as long as, Judy, if you're listening, it's not about you. But, as long as, she doesn't criticize me in front of my children.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then she criticizes you in front of your children, and you say, I'm not going.
Yep. Exactly.
Because I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't want to be treated that way.
There's going to be a bunch of feelings about that. Everyone's going to have opinions. They're going to have thoughts about you. They're going to have criticism of you. You're going to want to make them wrong. You're going to defend yourself. Blah, blah, blah.
All of it.
Yeah. So it's the same in parenting teens. Is like they're going to have thoughts and feelings about you and about themselves and about your rules, and we need to be strong enough.
Yeah, to be able to hold to it.
Yeah,
and that because it's essential.
Yeah,
not just to your well-being, but to the well-being of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other ones I had, we kind of talked about, like, trust, self-trust, trusting your kids and how to develop that. And I think, writing a list of things that are true about your child. Like, I know that my child is loving, is kind, is generous, is, compassionate, is smart, is capable, whatever it is. Like, you know some good things about your kids.
Yep.
So let's make a list of that so that you have some evidence that your kid's okay.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing too, it goes back to how you think about your kid, and that impacts how you treat them.
Yes.
So it's where your focus and energy go, and that's what's going to make the big difference there. So I love that idea of making a list and even just sharing it with your team.
Yeah. I call it the delight list. And and I teach it pretty frequently, but it's like, it helps us get out of that negative thought spiral about our kids. Like, they're a jerk, they're lazy, they're never gonna, they're not kind. You can have a lot of negative thoughts, but if we stop and we think, okay, what else could be true? Or what else is true? What else do I know about them? What is good about them?
Yes.
Man, it makes a huge difference. Even if we don't speak the sentences, they come through.
Yeah. Because teenagers can push buttons.
Yeah.
They're really good at that.
Yeah.
And if you're able to redirect your brain to the good as well, that changes everything in your perspective.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much.
So good. So then, the last one is just finding that space for you to process your own emotion. And, that I think working with me is the best way to do that, being in my Calm Mama Club and working with me, and having that community of other parents who are doing the same work, right? Working on ourselves, learning how to talk to our kids and helping them manage their negative emotion, learning these boundaries and how to set limits, learning how to have consequences without, pain and punishment and shame. It's like finding community. If you have a community that does that, good. Go hang out with them. If you don't, come to the Calm Mama Club, right?
Well, the difference, though, between having a community and having one like yours, the Calm Mama Club, is sometimes as parents, when we get together and we start venting, we fuel each other's frustration.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, my kid does that too. Oh my gosh. And it just like turns into this big negative spiral, not on purpose. It just does. And we try to validate each other's experience by saying, yeah, me too. But that doesn't necessarily make you feel better. Whereas your group,
you need a coach.
It's more like you can, you can feel it. It makes sense that you would feel this way, right? Not like, oh my gosh, what a jerk. Totally. You have every right to be mad. Like, they suck.
Right. Totally.
It's more proactive and productive.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And guided, right? Like by someone who, we have coaching twice a week. You can come ask questions. There's a small Facebook community, so you can ask questions in there. I mean, there's a lot of support, and it's, that's the difference, right? Than just venting with your friends versus
Yeah.
having an actual parenting expert as a guide. And that's what your parents, the teens who work with you, your parents have like this like ace in the hole or whatever with you. It's like, I don't even know if that's a phrase. But
I think it is.
I don't know what it means. Like, hold my pants. Like,
I don't know. Is that like a golf thing?
I don't know if it's cards. I don't know.
Shows
like
what we know. Either way.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You are an ace, and they have you in their corner pocket hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want everyone listening to like get support for your teenager with Jennifer, get support for you with me.
Well, what it is that we do is we offer peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
I'm offering peace of mind for the parents and knowing that their teenagers have someone there to support them and guide them. And then peace of mind for them to know that they're not there doing it alone, working with you. Like they don't have to figure it all out.
No.
They can have somebody there who's not involved, be a listening ear and offer guidance. So really, I mean, imagine the transformation on the home life when there is peace of mind.
Yes, it's huge. I mean, that's what Calm, right? That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
In my program.
Yes. So tell me how my people can find you, how they can work with you, all the things.
Yeah. Well, the best way is to go to calmmamacoaching.com, and I spell mama M-A-M-A. So calmmama coaching.com. And you can learn about the club. I also have some openings for one-on-one. And if you join me for one-on-one, you get access to the club, which is because I just think everyone needs to be in there working with each other, talking to each other. And then on Instagram, I do reels and things. You're really good at reels. Everyone should follow you because
I have fun.
You're good at it. I just talk at you for like 45 seconds. Those are my reels.
Which is fine.
But yeah, if you want support, both of us are on Instagram. So I'm at Darlynn Childress on Instagram.
Oh, awesome.
And then I have a weekly newsletter. I call it Mama Love Notes. And it really is an incredible resource. And, every week a little love note with a little ass kicking kind of put together.
Tough love.
A little Tuesday note. I think, even if no one in your group wants to work with me, but they want to learn, like that would be great. They can just, join, hang out, learn more. Do you have a newsletter?
I do. I send out every week. I send out an email where I'm usually give out some tips and motivation. And when I have programs roll out or something special like a freebie or like a small resource, I include that in those as well. So when you go to my website, you can join the mail list and be part of that as well.
Okay, same. You can get on mine on there, and then we'll put all this stuff in the notes.
Yes. And I don't think we actually said this, but the name of my podcast is Raising Happy Teens.
Okay, good.
And your podcast is called
Become a Calm Mama.
Perfect. All right. Well, this was so
for everyone
fun
to know. Raising Happy Teens.
Yes, right? Raising Happy Teens.
Everyone go listen to Jennifer's podcast.
Yeah, go into the show notes. We'll have all the links to the websites and the Instagrams and the podcasts and everything. Go down there. But this is so fun to talk to you. And I learned so much from you. It's so funny. Like even as a coach, I know a lot of these things, but it's different when you are a parent. Yeah. So fun. All right. Thanks.
Well, we'll talk soon. All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
If you have a teenager, then you're going to want to listen to this because I have teenagers and I know how difficult it is to raise them. I understand how overwhelmingly angry we feel. I understand that deep worry we have over them in their current life and in their future. I get what it feels like to be sad that they've grown and changed and our relationship with them has changed. And I also understand what it's like to raise a teen and how confusing it can be over what we're responsible for. What are we supposed to be setting rules around? How do you set rules with a teenager? So these are the topics in the masterclass. It's going to be October 12th at 1 o'clock Pacific. It's going to be on Zoom. It's an hour and a half. It's $25. And in it, I'm going to teach you what's normal for teens and what's not. I'm going to help you figure out how to set rules and limits for teenagers and, how to say the things you want to say to them and get clear about what your role is. I'm going to help you stop lecturing them and giving you new tools to talk and listen to your teenager so that you feel closer to them during this time instead of drifting apart. And you're going to learn really practical ways to manage your own mind around all the fear and all the frustration and all of the sadness that we have. So it's $25, October 12th. It's a Wednesday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. There's going to be a recording upon request, and I've put together an incredible workbook, guidebook that has all the best practices about raising teenagers, what you need to know, what's developmentally appropriate, what are their needs, what's this generation struggling with, what is it that they want from us, and how can we best support them so that your teenager can grow up and become whoever they're meant to be, right? Reach their potential. So I'm going to help you clear out some of your misunderstandings, some of the myths, and also give you a really clean idea of what it's like to raise a teen and give you some practical tools so that it makes it a little bit easier. And so I encourage you to join me. You can sign up at my website, which is calmmamacoaching.com. I spell mama M-A-M-A, so calmmamacoaching.com. And we'll have a link for the masterclass. All right. I will see you guys next time. Hey mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do two things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies, just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.